Hey, this is Brad Neiman, and people have been asking me how to make jelly. So the easiest way to do this is just to show you. What I'm going to do today is make elderberry jelly. And elderberry, muscadines, any kind of thing that grows wild that you can get, prickly pears, you can make jelly out of all that. And the best thing to do for me is just to go out and get it for free. You're going to need just a regular pan. And what you're going to do is you're going to take about 4 cups of just regular elderberries and put in the pan, and you're going to fill it to the top of the berries with water. And you're going to simmer that for about, well, bring it to a hard boil first and then simmer it for 20 minutes, all the while crushing it up with, I use a meat tenderizer, but that's going to get the most juice out of the berries. Then you run it through a sieve, and you get all the seeds and stems and all the hulls and everything out, and you're left over with just juice. And I've already done that because that's pretty time consuming. So once you've got the juice, this recipe calls for 3 cups of rendered elderberry juice, 1 tablespoon of butter, which I already have in the pan. So we'll start mixing this together. Just pour that in there. And what the butter does, it keeps it from being foamy. Because if you have a lot of foam, you're either gonna have to get that off the top, which is kind of time consuming and hard, or you're going to have foam in your jars and it's not nearly as pretty. Okay, 4th cup lemon juice. That just helps it last because we're going to can it, and it takes some of the bitterness out of it, oddly enough. And then 1 box of Sure Gel, which is pectin. Same stuff that's in Jello, it makes it gel. So all this goes in the very beginning. So once all that's in, we bring it to the stove top. Turn on high, and you're going to want to stir this until everything up front is dissolved. Once that's done, you don't have to stir it constantly. But you don't want to let it sit because it's going to get hot and it's going to burn or scorch. It's not going to taste nearly as good. The only other thing that goes in this, 4.5 cups of sugar, which is a lot, but that's all that goes in it. There's no preservatives in this at all. You're just going to keep stirring that. Every once in a while, usually I wait till it stops turning, and once it kind of sets for just a second, I'll stir it again. And you're going to do this until it comes to a hard boil. And what a hard boil is when you're stirring it, if the bubbles keep coming, that's a hard boil. And with elderberries especially, you want to do this because if you don't heat the juice up to a certain temperature for a certain length of time, it can cause you stomach problems. So you need to be sure that it gets heated up properly. And also, it needs to be heated up to a certain temperature to make the pectin work, because the pectin won't gel if you don't get it hot enough. Something else. Back 150 years ago, people didn't have access to pectin. So what they did to make jelly is if you add raw fruit, like if you're making blackberry jelly or muscadines, if you'll take some of the raw fruit, the green grapes or red blackberries before they're ripe, and add those to your jelly, it's going to make it gel up because it has natural pectin in it. Okay, you can see this is starting to boil now. We're going to use this. You just want to make sure you stir it really good so it doesn't scorch the pan. This whole process, as you'll see as we're doing it live on this video, takes about 5-6 minutes. It doesn't take it long at all. It's about to start boiling again, so I'm just going to keep stirring it. Okay, while we're waiting on this, I'll show you how we're going to preserve it. I've got two things here. We're going to water bath these jars in this when we're done. And in the back, I've got lids. You can see back there, submerged in water. The lids need to be hot. That's going to make them adhere to the jar and seal when we're done. Inside here, we're going to put the lids on our jars after the jelly's in there. We're going to put them in this, and we're going to have about an inch of headspace water on top. And we're going to bring that to a hard boil for these little jars here, probably about 5 minutes, but it wouldn't hurt you to leave them in there for 10. And that's going to make them seal. And with jelly like this, that doesn't have any preservatives in it, that's going to make it last for about a year. And once you open it, you need to put it in the refrigerator, but there's no preservatives in it, so you need to eat it pretty quick, but if it's in the fridge, it'll last for up to a year. Okay, if you want to step over here, this is coming to a hard boil now. This gas stove gets hot really quick, so see the bubbles in the middle? And you can actually, I don't know if you can tell from the video, but the pectin's already starting to set up. See it sticking to the whisk? And you could make jelly just out of the juice without sugar, I guess, but the juice by itself is just, honestly, just really nasty. Okay, so we got that going to a pretty good boil there. Stop when we're stirring it, so I'm going to pour the sugar in at the same time here that I stir it. And we're almost done. Just about the time that this is dissolved, it's really going to start to gel, because it's heated up to a point that the pectin actually starts to work, and when it works really fast. If you left this in here, you'd have a jar full of, a big bowl full of jelly that you wouldn't be able to get it out. See it starting to set up there? That's how you can kind of tell it's done. The recipe says to bring it to a rolling boil after the pectin's in it. But with the gas stove, you really don't have to do that. It's pretty much ready to do. I'd say in about 20 more seconds, I'll start flavoring into the jars. Yep, I think that's pretty good. Okay, kill the heat, get rid of my whisk. And then I just use a regular ladle. And what you want to do, even though I use butter, it still has quite a good amount of foam in it. And I try to get that all in one jar. And then we'll put that in the refrigerator, and that's what my family eats. And then the rest of it I'll just give away. But the stuff I give away, I want it to be pretty. And the foam just, it's not very attractive. Matter of fact, I've given some to somebody that had foam in it, and they asked me what was wrong with it. You can eat it, it's just not pretty. And the jelly itself is purple like the berries, and it is really, really pretty. And it tastes good, and it's good for you too. It doesn't have everything that elderberry syrup has in it, but it does have elderberries in it, and even though it has sugar, it's still really good for you. Where there's this much space, you want to leave about, what's that, a little less than an inch. Let me get this over here, I'm going to make a huge mess. That's already starting to, you can see it set up on the spoon. It doesn't take it long, see? It's already turning into jelly. And elderberries especially make a pretty big mess if you get them everywhere, and they stain purple. after you do it a while, you can see the throat on this big funnel, and you kind of know where to stop filling it up. So the very last thing that we do, get a little magnet here, get one of my hot lids out, put that on the jar, seal it up, and then I'll show you in here. You just take this, put it in there. When we fill it up, the water's going to come over the top of the jars. Then we're going to boil that for 10 minutes. Take them out. When you hear the pop, that means they've sealed, and you've made jelly that's preserved that you can give away or keep for up to a year. That's how you do it.